So according to this association, basically they say it is a process of planning. And if you don't plan well in marketing, then it means at the end of the day, you are going to fail as an organization. Therefore, proper planning is required for marketing to be successful. And once you plan, it means at the end of the day, you will be able to give the organization the goods and services that are going to satisfy the customers' wants and needs. So the core elements of marketing include the following. Number one, we have the need. A need is a state of felt deprivation of some basic satisfaction, and they may include food, shelter, clothing, safety, affection, transport, or knowledge. So those things that you can't live without. For example, clothes, you cannot live without clothes. You cannot live without food. You can also not live without the affection or the love that is required from other people or your closest relatives or family. So once a person feels a need, he will look at something that will satisfy that need. For example, if you need food, you'll end up buying the food. If you feel that indeed you need some clothes, you'll end up satisfying the need of clothes. The other one is wants. Wants are person's needs are shaped by culture and individual personality. So we have those things or those items that you really need, but because of your culture, sometimes you might end up not buying them. For example, when you want to buy a burger or French fries, normally referred to as potato chips, sometimes it might depend with where you are coming from. Some people believe that when they are eating potato chips, it is not going to satisfy them or satisfy their hunger. Then the other thing is personality. We have those items that are normally bought depending on your personality. For example, when a person is thirsty, he will be guided by his personality with regards to buying, for example, Coke, so that the person is going to quench his thirst. Then we have demands. Demands are when a person wants a back up by the power or the ability to buy. For example, when you feel indeed thirsty, you will be forced to buy soda so as to quench your thirst. Then the other thing is marketing offers. Consumers' needs and wants and demands are satisfied by the offers that marketers make. So marketing offers includes products, services, information, and experience offered by markets to satisfy the needs and wants. So the market basically offers various issues or various things that are needed by customers for purposes of ensuring that they are satisfied. And one of the things is the product. And product in this case is anything that can be offered to a market for attention, acquisition, use, consumption, and that might satisfy the needs and wants. So anything that is in the market and can be acquired by a customer and at the same time can be consumed by the same customer, we say that that thing is a product. And that product, the essence of it is to ensure that you're able to satisfy a need or a want. Services on the other side is anything or any benefit that one party can offer to another party that is essentially intangible and does not result into ownership of anything. For example, if you go to a barber shop and you wanted your hair to be made well, you'll require that at the end of the day, the barber is going to give you a service. And at the end of the service, it means that the ownership is not going to be transferred to you. So service providers may include banks. So you can decide to go into a bank and you request for banking services. You can also decide to go to a hotel and you order for food in that hotel. You can also decide to go to the airline if you want to board an aeroplane. You can also decide to maintain your car or get saloon services. The other thing is information. When we talk about information, what do we mean? Information is offered by marketers to customers. Remember, customers normally require information, and this information will help them in making the decision that is very critical. The decision either to buy the product or the decision either not to buy the product. So marketers must be able to ensure that customers are able to get the information that they require at the end of the day. The other thing is about experience. When we are talking about experience, excuse me for a minute. So the other thing is experience. When you are talking about experience, what comes into our mind? Marketers sometimes provide people an opportunity to experience their products by giving them free samples. Sometimes when you walk into a supermarket, you realize that the salespeople are giving you free samples. The essence of the free samples is for you to experience the product and know how the product is and how the product will react maybe to you. Then we have exchange. This is the process of giving up something of value by offering something in return. For example, when you want to buy something in the market, you must be able to pay for that product so that that product can be exchanged to you. Therefore, that means that you are exchanging. This means that a person who is hungry has the need for food. Therefore, that person will be required to pay for the food so that he will be given the food in return. Marketing occurs when people decide to satisfy their needs and wants through exchange. However, there are 5 conditions that are very critical when you want to exchange. Number 1, there must be at least 2 people. So when you're exchanging, there must be 2 people who must ensure that the product normally is exchanged. Number 2 condition is that each party must have something that the other party values. So each party must have what you don't have. For example, one party will have the money, the other party will have the product. And for you to get the product, you must be able to exchange the product for the money that you have. Number 3, each party must be able to communicate with the other party and deliver the goods that the other party desires. So in essence, you must have to communicate so that the other party must be able to understand what you really need. And at the end of the day, they will be able to deliver what you desire in terms of product or service that you really desire. Then you have each party must be free to accept or reject the other party's offer. So they can be able to accept or reject the other party's offer. Then each party must believe that it is appropriate or desirable to deal with the other party. So it must be free for both parties to be able to interact and be able to exchange what they really require at the end of the day. Another thing we are going to talk about is the customer value and satisfaction. So customers have a variety of products and services to choose from. They want value and satisfaction from what they buy. So when you're going to buy a product, it is always important for you to be able to get value in that product. And value normally is one of the greatest objectives that a customer can get in a product or a service. So customer value, this is a ration of benefits to the sacrifice necessary to obtain those benefits. So a customer is most likely to buy a product where the benefits are more than the cost. So when you're buying a product, sometimes it is very important to get value at the end of the day. And value can only be received when you are going to benefit from that product. And if the benefits are little than the cost, then that product is not of value to the customer. The other thing is customer satisfaction. This is the feeling that the product has met or exceeds the customer's expectation. For example, when you are buying something and that product exceeds your expectation, then you are saying that that product has been able to satisfy you as a customer. Then we also talk about market. A market is a set of actual and potential buyer of a product. A market is a set of actual and potential buyers of a product. Actual buyers are the buyers who are already buying the product from you, but potential buyers are those buyers that anticipate or you expect those people to come and buy the product from you. The other thing is the nature and characteristics of services. After understanding the product, we must also be able to understand what is a service. And remember, we said that a service is anything that can be given or any activity that can be done to somebody for purposes of satisfying that person. And ownership of service normally is not transferred. So services have 5 unique characteristics that can be able to distinguish them. The first characteristic of a service is that a service is intangible. That is intangibility. Services cannot be seen, touched, tasted, felt, heard, or smelled before they are purchased. So before you purchase a service, it is very difficult for you to be able to understand how the service is or to be able to feel that service. Therefore, it can only be effective once you purchase the service and you're able to use that service. For example, a person undergoing a cosmetic surgery has no way of judging the result before the surgery is conducted. So you must be able to conduct surgery before you know that the surgery indeed is either successful or not successful. The same applies to a passenger on an aeroplane. So you can only, all you have is a ticket and a promise that you will arrive safely at your destination. So the only thing that you have is the receipt. But for you to quantify that the aeroplane is going to be safe, or the aeroplane is going, or you are going to arrive at your destination safely, is not quantifiable when you are using a service. Then the other one is inseparability. Services are produced, distributed, and consumed at the same time. So you cannot separate the service provider and the service. It means at the end of the day, they go hand in hand. For this reason, they cannot be separated from their providers, whether the providers are people or they are machines. All services providers are part of the service being purchased. So the service provider must be part of the service that is being provided. For example, when you go to a barber shop, you cannot separate the barber from the service that he or she is going to do to you. Then the other one is variability. The quality of service depends on who provides them and when, where, and how it is provided. No two services are exactly the same. So different services, different tastes. So you cannot compare two services. Every service is unique in its own way. The quality of service varies depending on the provider, the mood, the timing, and the situation. So you cannot compare one service from the other because every service is unique from the other service. Then we have perishability. Services have a short shelf life. They cannot be stored for later sale or use. So services normally are not kept for a later day when you are going to use the same service. Once you use the opportunity or you lose that opportunity to use the service, that opportunity is lost forever. And that is why we are saying a service sometimes is perishable. Once you don't meet your service, then that service is lost forever. If you do not cancel your doctor's appointment, the doctor will be able to receive the revenue during the period. So the value of service disappears when you did not show up. The other characteristic of services is lack of ownership. As we saw in the definition of service, both the seller and the buyer of the service have nothing to show for it. So there is no ownership when you are dealing with services. The buyer only gets the experience and nothing else, but only the experience. For example, after alighting from a bus, you cannot really say what is it that you purchased. For example, when you are board a matatu at a bus station, the only thing that you have maybe is a receipt. And once you alight from the bus, then there is nothing to quantify about the services that you received. The other thing we are going to talk about is types of marketing. Types of marketing. Types of marketing. Types of marketing. The first type of marketing is organizational marketing. Organizational marketing this involves marketing an organization. For example, Safaricom can decide to market themselves. They can decide to market themselves so that customers are able to know what they really sell. They can also decide to organize for competitions, maybe sport competition, or they can also organize some various functions for purposes of advertising themselves. They can also decide to come up with various charities. The one called the corporate social responsibility for purposes of marketing themselves, so that at the end of the day, customers are able to know their services and customers are able to know what they normally deal with. Then we have personal marketing. This involves selling people or political candidates, for example. During campaigns, it is very, very common. Personal marketing is very, very common. Then we have place marketing. This involves marketing of a place. Excuse me for a minute. I'm coming.
Unasikia kitu? Singia ameku nini?
Then The other thing we are going to talk about is idea marketing. When we talk about idea marketing, this includes selling a social idea, also called social marketing. And the essence of idea marketing is to ensure that you create awareness, maybe to a certain category of people, maybe the youths. An idea, for example, the case of Nakada, they can decide to advocate for the use of drugs. Sometimes they normally say that the use of drugs is not good. This can be an idea that Nakada has embraced to create awareness amongst the youths. The other thing we will talk about is the marketing mix. There are 4 elements of marketing, and this includes the 4 P's of marketing, normally referred to as the 4 P's of marketing. The first P is the price. This refers to how much the product costs in terms of value. Then we have the place. Where will you sell your products? It's normally the location where people or where your customers are going to get your products from. Number 3 is promotion. How will you promote your product? Are you going to use advertising, personal selling, or sales promotion, or publicity, or direct marketing? And it is always important to choose the correct channel where you are going to advertise your product from. So importance of marketing. Marketing is very critical in any organization. And as a result, it means at the end of the day, you will be able to use marketing in various issues. So marketing affects your life or your everyday's life. For example, when you wake up in the morning, what you consume, what you use, sometimes evolves around marketing. For example, when you wake up in the morning, you normally bathe maybe with a soap from a certain company, let's say Geisha. When you take tea, maybe you are using a certain product. For example, you can decide to use cornflakes or Nescafe. Then when you're traveling, you're going to aboard a certain matatu or Nissan, maybe from Toyota, Kenya. So at the end of the day, you realize that everything that you do evolves around marketing, and you cannot avoid marketing in any case. So marketing basically forms part of our lives. We cannot avoid marketing at all costs. The other thing about marketing is that marketing plays an important role in society. This is because marketing affects the allocation of goods and services that influence a nation's economy and standard of life. So marketing sometimes can influence the economy of a country. This is because when we have when you are marketing, for example, when you are buying products or when you are buying certain items, at the end of the day, you must pay for taxes. And these taxes go hand in hand in ensuring that the nation's economy is up and running. It also ensures that the standard of living of individual is also good, because at the end of the day, you normally get employed. You get employed to be a marketer. Then marketing also is important in business. An understanding of marketing is crucial to most businesses. This is because the fundamental objective of most businesses is to survive, make profit, and grow. So therefore, for businesses to grow, at the end of the day, they require marketing. Then marketing offers outstanding career opportunity. At the end of the day, you might end up working as a marketer, or you might end up working as a sales person, or you can decide to work as a delivery guy. All that is as a result of marketing. Therefore, we are saying that marketing plays a very critical role in that it creates employment opportunities to individuals. You can also, at the end of the day, work as an non-governmental officer, or you are working as a hospital attendant, or you are working in a university. All that is possible as a result of marketing. The other thing is the marketing philosophies. So according to Kotler and Armstrong 2001, there are 7 philosophies of marketing. The first philosophy is the production concept. This concept holds that customers will favor products that are widely available and highly affordable. Therefore, marketers believe that products will sell itself if they are well made and reasonable priced. So if you price your product reasonable, it means that customers will automatically buy your product. And it will also mean that at the end of the day, your product will be known by customers. So when marketers started, the main focus was to produce as many products as possible at lower cost. So this concept allowed customers or allowed organizations to be able to do what is called mass production. And once they did mass production, it meant that once customers saw products many customers were going to buy that product. Remember that if you increase the volume of production, you'll be able to reduce the cost of producing them. So the concept really was an advantage to organization in that they produced in large volumes. And once you produce items in large volumes, it meant that the cost of production was going to be low. The disadvantage of this is that you end up with huge quantities of the same product, and sometimes the quality can also be compromised. When you produce high volumes of product, you might end up compromising the quality, and it might also affect your satisfaction of customers. The second concept was the product concept. This concept holds that if a firm makes a good quality product at reasonable price, then the customer will inevitably buy it with minimum effort. So the focus of this concept was on the product, and they believe that customers will always favor a product that is of good quality and a product that has all the features that are required by the customers. Therefore, marketers decided to produce items by ensuring that they improved quality of those items. And once they improved the quality, it was very easy for them to be able to charge a high price for those items, because customers believed more on the product quality than the price. Then this led to the selling concept. Under this concept, the concept holds that for you to achieve cost effectiveness through large volume of output, a firm must invest heavily in sales promotion. So this concept embraced the issue of selling the product. It argued that once you promote the product, customers will be able to know the product, and our customers will also be able to buy the product from you. It implies that customers need to be pursued to buy because they are generally reluctant to buy. So this concept was a very critical one, because for products to be sold to customers, they had to be marketed or promoted. So customers were supposed to be persuaded to buy those products. This also led to the marketing concept. This concept holds that for one to achieve organizational goals, one had to ensure that the needs and wants of the customers were well taken care of. Therefore, the marketing concept embraced the issue of ensuring that you produce depending on the need of your target market, the needs and wants of your customers. So the basic idea behind it was that all marketing practices should be marketed. It is worth noting that the selling concept takes the inside approach of the market, but the marketing concept takes the outward approach. So marketing concept involves going to the customers and ensuring that you listen to the customers so that you know what the customers want and end up producing according to the needs of the customers. The other concept is the societal marketing concept. This concept holds that organizations should determine the needs and wants and interests of the target market and deliver the desired satisfactory level of products that the customers really want. This concept holds that organizations should determine first the needs of the customers and go ahead to produce those products depending on what the customers really want. A company that has adopted the societal marketing concept considers a long-term interest of society while satisfying their needs and wants. So this concept will embrace a long-term relationship with the customers by ensuring that customers are able to get what they need and customers are able to ensure that they buy what exactly is required. So companies that use this concept include environmental, organizational, and also discourage smoking of drugs and alcoholic use. So societal is all about society. You are producing items that are not going to harm the customers at the end of the day. Therefore, you must be able to embrace the environment at large. Then you have the relationship marketing concept. This philosophy emphasizes on the creation of long-term partnership with customers. Firms build long-term relationship with customers by offering value and providing customer satisfaction on a consistent basis. So this concept focuses on building partnerships with customers, long-term partnerships with customers. So the intention is to ensure that at the end of the day, both the customer and the organization are able to win, basically focus on a win-win relationship for both the customers and other stakeholders. So the organization focuses more on ensuring the relationship by both stakeholders is effective and efficient. The other thing is internal marketing concept. A company needs to consider its communication and motivation of its employees. So in this concept, basically, they focus more on what the employees are supposed to get so that the employees remain motivated, so that the employees are able to feel recognized by the employer and work hand in hand in ensuring they achieve the best when it comes to the organization. Any question up to there? Dennis and Aflin, you have a question? Is the marketing environment. So marketing operates under a certain environment. It can either be internal environment or external environment. So the marketing environment factors are all the factors that directly or indirectly influence the marketing activities. So those factors that affect the operations of a marketer, those activities or those factors that affect basically emanate from the marketing environment. Therefore, marketing managers do not plan their actions in a vacuum. They must operate under a certain environment. A company needs to continuously identify opportunities and threats. A company also needs to keep abreast of all the environmental changes that may affect it. So you must be able to be up when you are looking at the marketing environment. You must always ensure that you focus more on opportunities and threats that are going to affect your business, either in the short run or in the long run. A company also needs to keep abreast of all the environmental changes that affect that environment. So you must be able to ensure that you remain up to date with what is happening in the environment so that at the end of the day, you are not affected by the environment. There are two major environments that affect a company. These include the microenvironment and the macro environment. So let us look at the micro environmental factors. The micro environmental factors are all the factors close to the company that affect the ability to serve customers. So all those factors that emanate within the organization and affect how the organization operates is referred to as the micro environmental factors. So these are factors that can be controlled by the marketer or the marketing manager. So these factors can be controlled by the organization. These factors can be controlled, also referred to as internal factors, factors that are within the organization and the organization can be able to control them. There are 6 environmental factors, and this includes the following. Number 1, we have the company. The company may be a micro environmental factor affecting itself. A company can affect itself in that it can come up with various policies that are going to affect even the employees and the way they work in the organization. Therefore, it is always important for the organization to come up with various policies, various missions or values that are going not only to affect the employees, but they are going to make the organization become better and better. For example, if a marketing manager wants to give a discount to a customer, if the policy of the organization is that no discount should be given to the customer, then the marketing manager will just have to comply. The marketing manager depends on finance department for funding. So we have those policies that will affect the organization internally. And as a result, the company might end up being affected in those decisions. And those people who are within the company can also be affected in one way or another. The second thing is the suppliers. The supplier is a very important link in the chain. Losing an important supplier of raw materials can interrupt the flow of the product and services. So suppliers play a very critical role when it comes to the issue of the organization's operation. Therefore, it is always important to ensure that at the end of the day, you take the supplier into consideration. You must pay your suppliers promptly, and you must be able to ensure that you negotiate with your suppliers when it comes to issues of operations. So losing an important supplier of raw material can interrupt the flow of product and services. Then the choice of supplier, negotiation of terms, and relationship building are the primary importance of ensuring that your suppliers do not disappoint you. So suppliers are an important part of business as they provide the raw materials that are used in production of goods and services. Remember, the suppliers are the people who normally bring materials to the organization. If you don't take them into consideration, at the end of the day, they might affect your operation or your production. And this might trickle down even to your customers. And your customers might feel disappointed. And your customers might also feel not, or they might shift to your competitors, and this might affect your business in the long run. Then we also have marketing intermediaries. These are firms that help the company to promote and sell and distribute goods to the final buyer. So intermediaries play a very critical role in your organization. Just a minute.
Fanya aje tena.
Middlemen, these are firms that help the company to promote, sell, and distribute goods to the final buyer. They include the middlemen, physical distribution firms, marketing services agencies, and financial intermediaries. So let's start with the first one, middlemen. These are organizations that buy goods and sell them at a profit. For example, the wholesalers and the retailers. So when you look at middlemen, the wholesalers, they normally ensure that goods are able to reach the retailers on time so that the retailers can take the products either to the customers or to the consumers. Then you have physical distribution firms. These are firms that store and move goods from point of origin to the point of destination. For example, we have shippers and airlines. So distribution, their main focus is to ensure that items are able to move from the point of origin to the point of destination. Then we have marketing service agencies. These include firms that conduct research for the company, firms that advertise for the company, the media, and the consultants. So their main focus is to ensure that they work on behalf of other companies so that they are able to advertise those companies to their customers. And sometimes they can also do research on behalf of those companies. Then we have the financial intermediaries. This includes banks, creditors, insurance companies, etc. And their main focus is to help to finance the companies. They normally provide finances on behalf of the companies. Marketing managers recognize the need to work with their intermediaries as partners rather than as channel through which they can sell their products. So their main focus, marketing managers will normally embrace the intermediaries as partners in order for them to be able to satisfy some of their objectives in the organization. So when you talk about partners, these are people who work with you to ensure that you are able to achieve your objective as an organization. Then the other one is customers or consumers. The consumers are companies or products that can also be classified under the micro-environmental factors. Consumers are the focal point of the business. So if you don't have consumers or if you don't have customers, you might end up closing your business. And that is the example that was there for Uchumi Supermarket. When Uchumi Supermarket went down, it meant that customers were not able to go there and buy their products. And this led to their silent death up to now. So consumers are focal point of the business. The company has to know the needs, the purchasing power, and the behavior patterns of the customers. So you must be able to know your behavior pattern of your customers so as to serve them well. We also have the competitors. Competitors also form part of your business. So it is always important for you to be able to look at your competitors keenly, because competitors are the people who do a similar job as the one you do. They sell similar products as the ones you do. So competitors, therefore, must be taken into consideration. Competitors make the firm's connection with customers difficult because they pursue the same type of business as you, and therefore they also require the same customers as you. Therefore, must be very keen when you're dealing with customers, because if you fail to serve your customers well, your customers will go to your competitors, and that might affect even your business in the long run. Competitors usually improve their products or introduce new products or services to satisfy the customer's needs. So it is always important to ensure that you improve your products or you come up with new products that are going to be better than your competitors' products for you to beat your competitors. The other type of stakeholder is the public, or the other type of internal environment is the public. This is any group which are with actual potential impact in the organization's ability to achieve the objective. The public can help or hurt your company. Put differently, the groups may have a positive or negative influence on your company. So we have different types of public. Number one is the media public. If the media publishes an unfavorable report about your company, what will happen? So media public is all about the media. They have an impact in what you do. If you don't take into consideration what the media is saying about your business, sometimes it might affect your business. Then you have the internal public. This includes the employees of your organization, the board of directors, and the volunteers who come to work for your organization. So you must take into consideration all those people. Then we have the internal public, or we have already talked about internal public. We have the financial publics. This includes the banks or the investment houses. And the main focus of the banks is to be able to give you financial assistance or financial advices, so that at the end of the day, you will be able, to get what you want in terms of financial assistance to be able to be better. Then we have the government public. The government sets out the laws and regulations which must be followed by all their companies. So if you don't follow the regulations of the government, sometimes it might catch up with you. The government might catch up with you, and you might end up closing your business. Therefore, it is always important for you to be able to follow some of the regulations that the government has set for your business. For example, a typical marketer would like to have the warning on cigarette packs, but it is a government regulation to warn customers of the consequences of smoking. So that is why when you look at the packets, the businesses that are selling tobacco or cigarettes, they normally have brands of the effects of that product on their brand or their package. Then we have customer action public. Customer action public. These are groups formed to protect the consumers from unscrupulous businesses. For example, the non-governmental organizations that discourage the sale of cigarettes, or especially children. So we have the consumer action public. These are organizations that advocate for the rights of customers. They advocate for the rights of safe production of products to customers, so that what you produce as an organization is a product that is good to the consumers. Then we have the general public. What do people think or say about the company? So the general public are all other people who are outside there and have a keen interest on the customer, have a keen interest on the organization. So as a company, you must consider the general public, because they can destroy your company by just a word of mouth. And that is why it is always important to be very keen when you are dealing with the general public. Then we have the local public. The local public. These are the neighbors of the company, especially if the company is situated in a community. The company needs to be sensitive to the members of the community. So we have those companies that have been built in the community, and these companies normally focus on ensuring that they give the best in the community. And so at some point, they also are required to employ the members of the community. And if they do not do that, sometimes it becomes difficult for them to operate in such an area. If they do not do the community, they may be destroyed by the community. So it is always important sometimes for them to embrace the community and ensure that they work hand in hand with the community. So we were talking about economic factors which can also affect businesses. Then we also talk about the natural and ecological factors. This involves natural resources used by the company to produce goods and services. It can include natural resources used to produce products so that customers and the companies are safeguarded. So anything that emanates from the environment, for example, raw materials, can also affect how a company is going to produce certain items. Things like pollution or the weather can affect how you are going to relate when it comes to production of certain items. You also consider the weather can also affect how you do businesses. For example, if it rains for too long, you are going to close your business, and as a result, you are not going to make any sales because customers will not be there because of the rains. Then when you are producing cars, sometimes you can decide to produce cars that are not going to pollute the environment as a result of smoke. It is also important for you to ensure that what you produce is not going to affect the environment in any way. Excuse me for a minute. So the other factor is technological factors. New technology has replaced older technology, and therefore it is important for the organization to be able to embrace the new technology for the organization to remain relevant. So technology changes quickly and makes some products obsolete. For example, when computers were introduced, it greatly affected the sale of manual typewriter. And nowadays, we also have new phones and a new technology. And this also has affected how companies relate. Remember, some years ago, we used to use the calculators when we are doing businesses. Nowadays, you can use a system, and this system is going to ensure that you are more effective in your operation. Then we have the other factor is the political, legal factors. This political situation in a country may affect the business, especially when it comes to international marketing. And as a result, we have those countries that normally experience political instability. For example, a country like Somalia, where people are fighting every time because of political positions, and this might affect how you do businesses. The other thing is the legislation that can be brought up by different legislations that can affect how you are going to do your businesses. For example, the organization or the government of the day can come up with various laws, and these laws are going to affect how you do businesses. So it is always important for the organization to ensure, as much as they want to operate, they must be in line with the regulations of the day. Then we have the social cultural factors, socio-cultural factors. The social environmental factors are the most difficult to deal with. Social factors includes people's value, attitudes, and most difficult to deal with social factors includes people values, lifestyle, and attitude. So how people perceive certain items might be very difficult. And for you to convince such people, it might be very difficult for you in the organization. Therefore, it is always important to understand how customers behave, how different people behave when they're buying certain items. Some people sometimes are driven by their attitude when they're buying, and this might affect their buying patterns. For example, a person who is living in Westlands cannot go and buy in Eastlands because of maybe the environment and what have you, and how they perceive Eastlands can also affect their buying pattern. So the culture of the society will directly influence the type of goods and services demanded. So the culture of a particular person or the culture of a particular tribe can affect how you buy a product or a service. The other thing is the beliefs are passed from one parent to a child through socialization. So you can be able to learn from your parent, you can be able to learn from your guardian, depending on how you relate with those guardians. And this can help you make decisions when you're buying certain products or services. So it is always important for you to be able to learn what the customers' values are, what the customer's lifestyle is, for you to be able to produce products that are going to be effective to the customer's mind or the customer's perception.